So today we're giving you a lesson in how to get fat quick. It's actually called Hollandaise sauce, and if you use it in moderation, it is definitely a good thing. If you use it out of moderation, it is definitely a fast way to get fat. So you'll need some ingredients to do this, of course. You got your eggs. This is tarragon vinegar, which is getting harder and harder to find in grocery stores. So what you'll want to do if you can't find the tarragon vinegar is buy some white wine vinegar and buy some tarragon in the produce section, and you take the leaves off the tarragon and you throw it into the bottle and let it sit overnight, and then you have tarragon vinegar. You'll need salt and pepper, and you'll need a full stick of butter. Now whatever you do, don't use margarine. That crap is an abomination unto the gods. Don't go there. Always use butter. And when you have all your ingredients set up, you'll want to pour some cold water into your sink and leave it set, because at the end of the cooking process, you'll use that cold water to cool down your pot in a hurry. Otherwise, your hollandaise will curdle, and that's a fancy word for lumpy crap. You don't want that. So you'll also need some nice cold water to add to the hollandaise sauce. And you'll start making it by cracking 3 eggs into a bowl. And the reason you want to do it here is so you can check the eggs and make sure they're all good. And also, if you happen to lose a piece of eggshell into the bowl, you can dig it out. If you want to avoid having to chase an eggshell around the bowl, just use one of the shells to dig it out. Otherwise you'll be chasing it all day long, and nobody wants that. So after you get through getting your eggs ready, you add 1.5 tablespoons of water. 2, 1.5, not a big deal. And you're going to want to scramble your eggs by whisking them like that. Then you're going to add salt and pepper. We prefer freshly ground black pepper ourselves. If you can get them, cherry pepper is the best. And then you're ready to go. Get ready to start cooking. So you're going to want to get an apron, and the reason for that is that the aprons both keep the splashes from getting onto your clothes, but more importantly, if you were to have a spill while you were cooking your hollandaise and it were to come onto your clothes, you could always do this with an apron to keep it away from your skin. Otherwise you'll be boiled alive and you'll be a zombie, and we don't want that. So you'll start by melting an entire stick of butter, and you can do that over high heat, but you will want to stay on it and pay attention to it, because you don't want it to get all burned and browned. It doesn't look right in a hollandaise when it's browned like that. And just basically melt the stick of butter down. If you're feeling lazy, you can always put it into the microwave for about 30 seconds and see how melted it is, and then do it again until you have a completely melted stick of butter. We won't tell anyone that you use the microwave, of course. Well, we will, but we'll try not to let you know that. Melting, melting, melting. Oh, we have action. So after you've got your butter melted, you'll want to turn the heat way down. As you can see, it's pretty high now for melting the butter, but I'm going to turn it down until it's almost off, not quite. So now that you've got the butter melted, you're going to want to take your eggs and get ready, because the minute you start pouring them in, you want to start whisking. And the name of the game with hollandaise is whisk your brains out. I know that sounds rather gross, but that is the way it has to be done. And if you start to see it get stringy, you start to see strings of eggs forming in your hollandaise, you'll need to whisk it faster and make sure pull it away from the heat while you do that, because otherwise it'll separate, and you don't want that either. So basically you keep whisking really fast like this, and you're kind of breaking up those strings of eggs while you whisk, and you add a little heat. And what you're looking for is for it to become a pretty straight sauce. and not just two separate liquids that look rather gross when you combine them. Now if you're doing your whisking and you start to see it separate, and I'm getting a little bit of the separating here, one way to cheat that is to actually stick it in a blender and run it just for a second, and I guarantee you those little pieces will be gone and you'll have a nice smooth hollandaise. Or you can do what I'm doing, and that's just keep whisking and break up the little pieces. You notice I keep adding it to the heat and then taking it away from the heat. It's already starting to go off. You can see it's kind of got a nice white color going on instead of just the bright yellow it started out as. And when you get it to the point where it's turning into a pretty thick sauce, you're going to take it off the heat. And you're going to dunk it into the sink. Now when I say dunk it, you're just lowering the bottom of the pan into the sink. You're not lowering the sink water over to the top of the pan and flooding your hollandaise with water. That would be a no-no. So there we go. So after you've got the hollandaise cooled off in the sink and it's not cooking the hollandaise anymore from the bottom of the pot, and you're going to want to add 3 or 4 tablespoons. Some people like it less, some people like it more. I'm just going to add 2 to this one. I personally prefer it really, as we call it, hot hollandaise with 4 or 5 tablespoons of vinegar in it. You can also use lemon juice. That's kind of the classical hollandaise sauce. I personally think it tastes like dessert, so I prefer the vinegar myself, but you know, to each his own. Once you're done getting it stirred in, you should see this very nice silky sauce. It should be very smooth and very flavorful. And if you need more help and instructions, feel free to get our cookbook, Man Meat Stove. It's available on Amazon, or you can get it at our blog, manmeatstove.com. This is Jim Madden for Man Meat Stove. So after you've got your belter butted,